from the tap to tales galore. Oh, taste of stories, spinning yeast and grain. Mr. B goes round the world again. So if you like, then stick around. Cheers to the nights we banished all our fears. Mr. B will raise the bar, you bet. With every pint of ale we won't forget.
Hello, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel. So recently I did a video on the Burton Union system and how Thornbridge is, and the brewery in Glasgow, which I've forgotten again, and my apologies, are basically saving some British heritage by having some of this, the Burton Union system. Go and check out that video for more detail. So it got me thinking, because in the comments of that video, Brewer Rick Shaw commented about the Yorkshire Stone, and I think he mentioned Black Sheep Brewery still have Yorkshire Stone. So I thought that's actually quite interesting, because I think fermentation history, the heritage of fermentation in British brewing, has died off over the years, and there's only a small amount of breweries that are keeping up some sort of tradition. So I thought that's quite interesting. So there is traditionally, get this right now, in the UK, traditionally, start again, drop my glasses. So, traditional fermentation systems in the UK, you had the Burton Union system. You've got one called a drop-in or double drop system, and Breakspear were the last brewers to use that, and then it went over to Breakspear, got took over by Witchwood. They used it, and then Carlsberg, I don't think it's used anymore to brew any of the beers. So I think we're talking in the early 2000s, that system probably disappeared, which is a shame, because that is part of our heritage, British brewing heritage. There's also a system where you do skimming, and I tell you who can still do that sort of fermentation process is the Sussex Brewery. What's this brewery in Sussex called? I can't think. Harvey's Brewery. So if you have a Harvey's beer, they do the skimming, so it's an open fermentation, and so is the drop one, so is the Burton Union. And then there's one called the Ponto system, which Whitbread used to use. Again, that's more than likely gone. So the only systems that are being used now is the systems that you see in all the big commercial breweries, and that's the stainless steel. They mainly use these conical fermenters. They're lidded, they could be under pressure, so they don't see, and they don't get to the yeast doesn't get to live in like an open fermentation like it does years ago. British brewing is all open fermentation, and even years ago there was cool ships, which in Belgium cool ships are still used. We have got some cool ships still being used in the UK. Crossover Brewery and Blendery use Elgood's cool ship. That's basically the idea of that is, well, I'll do a video because that's another way of fermentation. I can get some samples of that. So we've got the cool ships, we've got the Ponto, we've got the skimming, we've got the drop-in, we've got the Burton Union, and the Burton Union, I've got a good example of a beer from Thornbridge, and what I'm talking about now is a Yorkshire Stone. So the Yorkshire Stone, and the examples I've got for that is Sam Smith's. So we've got a Sam Smith's Pale Ale coming in at 5%, 550ml bottle, and we've got the Sam Smith's Oatmeal Stout, which I think is a superb stout. That's coming in at 5% as well, and they rightly so, they champion the actual fact that they use Yorkshire Stone as part of their fermentation. So it's an open fermentation, and let's get into it. So let's crack this pale ale open as I'm chatting. Just yeah, I know I think I might have reviewed this already on the channel. I'm not too sure, but I do like Sam Smith's beers. I think there's only one beer to do on cask. Majority of their beers is on like draft system, not cask, or in bottle. So I can get them in bottle quite easily. Sam Smith's pubs are easy enough to find as well. So there you go. So the pale ale, just let me knock that, is basically a bitter. It's a bitter. It looks like a bitter, a nice Yorkshire bitter, but it's a bit strong in it, more ESB in the percentage. Looks fantastic. It's got that tawny amber, would I say, looking colour. Nice looking, creamy, just off white looking head. Carbonation is pretty low. Apologies for the phone going off. Feels like every time I do a video, my phone pings and I never remember to mute the phone. Not very good, am I? So yeah, carbonation's low, looks fantastic. Got it in the dimple pot. Oh, the smell. Lovely bready, biscuit, sweet, slight fruit, floral note there. Anyway, cheers, let's get a taste of this beer. Oh, toffee. Nice toffee notes, caramel. Little bit of bittering on the back end. Carbonation's super low. That is really good. I'm also getting a bit of a nice little touch of like a roasty bitterness right at the back on the tongue. That is lovely. So Sam Smith's, so the Yorkshire Stone. So bit of information about the Yorkshire Stone then. So the Yorkshire Stone is a fermentation system. Fermentation system first brewery was Bentley and Shaw in Huddersfield. The system was designed in the 1700s by a Yorkshire scientist called Dr. Joseph Priestley. What he did, he unravelled the mysteries of fixed air, which is carbon dioxide and the absorption of gases in liquids. His research led to the development of carbonated water and soft drinks. Now, he lived next door to a brewery, and so Bentley and Shaw, I couldn't tell you when they ceased being a brewery, but they were the first brewery to use the Yorkshire Stone system. Now, Samuel Smith's, they've got it, they still use it. So what is it? What is this system? What does it do? So it's a square. It's a two-storey vessel. So hopefully there's an image up on the screen now. Two chambers connected by a porthole, and also there's a raised rim that goes inside that top chamber, and also within that there's some organ pipes. The bottom chamber is filled with wort and yeast. As fermentation starts, the wort and yeast rise through that porthole into the top chamber. The rim traps the yeast as the wort drains back into the bottom chamber via the organ pipes. Now this, basically the whole point of this, years and years ago, any of these systems, is to get a clean, clear beer, because they're taking that yeast that's fermenting that beer and they're taking it away and it's leaving a clearer beer. That's the whole point of them. But the advantages of the Yorkshire Stone is that you get a full body, malty, and some natural carbonation in the beer. So you can see Sam Smith's still using this. Now, the Yorkshire Stone, as it's called, started off with Yorkshire Stone in it, and then it moved on to Welsh slates in a chamber, in the box, you can imagine. And that's what Sam Smith's at the moment, theirs is Welsh slate fermentation squares. And then moving on from that, they turned them into squares with stainless steel. So what breweries used it? So lots of breweries were using the system, mainly in Yorkshire. They say if you had a Tetley on cask, you was drinking a beer that was in the Yorkshire Square fermentation. The thing about it is it's open to the environment, but that yeast gets going and they skim that yeast off and then they reuse it in the next brew and they keep going. And then until a point where it's not viable and they'll get rid. But they keep that yeast alive. I'm sure Samuel Smith's yeast is just a constantly harvest in and it takes over. So it stops any nasties getting into the beer and starting to take over, because that yeast is so powerful. It gets in there, starts eating the sugars, and it kills anything straight away. But it does give character. It gives character to the beer. Let me get me another taste of this. It's really good. I agree though. That is malty. Lovely medium body. Low carbonation. It's absolutely fantastic. It really, really is. And I'm pleased that Sam Smiths are still using that fermentation. You know, they're keeping it alive. They're keeping that part of a British brewing heritage alive, and you can taste it in that. You can taste it in that beer. It really, really is. It's superb. It really is. So, Black Sheep, when they came along in 91, 92, they started off using the Stone Square brewing, you know, the Yorkshire Square fermentation. But then they moved on to it being round, and they called it I think we've got Yorkshire Rounds, but that was stainless steel. Now the advantages of moving from stone or slate to stainless steel, a lot easier to clean, and stainless steel, you know, there's no corrosion, and you know, it was so much better and quicker for them to clean. But like I said, they've lost the character of the beer, because that open fermentation, them stones give it some character. So that's a knock on. And in the 1970s, majority of the breweries moved away from, like say, the stones, the slate, and moved to stainless steel for that exact reason. And then obviously commercial big craft breweries come along, and a lot of their beers are now fermented in closed fermentation vessels, like say conicals, that type of stuff, where they can put pressure on it and try and keep anything away from it and just keep it, you know, clean yeast. But again, are they missing that character that we, well, to be honest, we're not tasting it anymore, unless you do get a Sam Smith's, or you do go and get a Harvey's, or you do get someone who is still brewing and using the open fermentation system. Depending on what system they're using, there is still some of the traditional breweries out there that still do this their way, but a lot of them moved on to stainless steel, so they've lost that character, I suppose. So anything else to say about it? No, nothing more to say. So I'm just, like I say, I'm just glad that Sam Smiths have kept this alive. That beer is lovely. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go and finish that. I'll come back and we'll have a crack of that stout, and we'll have a read at the back of the Sam Smiths bottles, because I'm sure, I know I can see a couple of pictures, I'm sure they're just bang on how proud they are that they're still keeping this tradition alive. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we're back. So let's get into the oatmeal stout. Now for me, this is superior compared to their organic chocolate stout. I just think that's got a synthetic taste, which I'm not a fan of, but this one is fantastic. Also, the Sam Smith say that, I think they say that their export stout it doesn't get fermented in Square Stone, so I don't know what that does get fermented in. I don't know about that, but anyway, this one does. So let's get this in the glass. Again, is it a 550ml bottle? 5% stout. Looks fantastic. It really, really does. If you've not had this, you need to get it. And that's the thing, you need to taste these beers that are being brewed the traditional way, or at least fermented the traditional way. So there you go. There is the Sam Smith's Yorkshire Square Stone fermented stout. Now that's got a lovely tan looking head, really dark, looks apart in that dimple pot. Oh, I tell you, it's like a lovely sweet vanilla note there, but there's no vanilla in it. You're getting the lovely chocolate, caramel, and a slight dark fruit note on the nose. Okay, let's taste this. Cheers. Oh, well, that's really good. Now you're getting that slight dark fruit note, but you're getting a lovely dark chocolate, a little bit of roastiness, a sweet vanilla note that's coming from that yeast fermentation, because there's no vanilla in there, and it's just low carbonation, medium body, really drinkable, and it's quite decadent as well. Oh, that's a fantastic stout. It really is. Let's get, like I say, it's a 550ml, so it all fit in there anyway, a pint pot. But that just looks the part, it really does. Anyway, I said I'd come back and have a read about what they say on their bottle. So first of all, you can see it, it's promoting it on the bottle. On the back there, you can see it. And on that pale ale I had, which is a bitter, strong bitter I'd say. Again, there's a picture on there. And they're just showing off that they're still doing it. They're the only brewery that I know of in the UK that are using any sort of, well, using slate, Welsh slate for the fermentation in the squares. If anyone else is using these Yorkshire Squares, the stainless steel, like I said, I don't even know if Black Sheep are using them anymore. Comment. I think that, oh, they've got the rounds, so hopefully the picture's been up about that. So, Samuel Smith's Pale Ale, so we didn't read that, captures a true soul of beer. It's brewed with hard well water, best organic malted barley, yeast and organic aroma hops. Fermentation in Stone, Yorkshire Squares, in bold. Creates a full-bodied, rounded palate that goes well with good food. It has a fresh maltiness that reminds you that good beer is a product of the soil organically nurtured. Serve at 11 degrees. So there you go. They put it in bold because they're proud, and so they should be. And like I say, we should be proud of these. This bit of heritage that's still going. I mean, if Sam Smith stopped doing it, that's gone. A bit like I said. Well, the other ones have said the double drop system, Brack's beer, yeah, that won't be done anymore. The skimming's still being done, like I say, Harvey's and other breweries, and then the Ponto Whitbreads, that's probably not being done anymore either. And I can't really do any videos with tasting them because, yeah, it's gone. At least I'm lucky enough to do a Burton Union and a Square Stone. I could get a Harvey's and do that one, the skimming. I could definitely do the Cool Ship one. So there'll be videos to come. So again, it just says brewed with well water. The original well at the old brewery, sunk in 1758, is still in use with the hard well water being drawn from 85 feet underground. I know there's a lot of, is it limestone around there as well? And again, in bold, fermented in Stone, Yorkshire Squares to create an almost opaque, wonderfully silky and smooth textured ale. I agree totally with that. It has got a lovely silkiness to it, with a complex medium dry palate and bittersweet finish. That's what I was saying about roasted and sweet, that vanilla. That's really good. That's got to be yeast and fermentation. And again, knocking down the lively head of yeast formed during fermentation in Stone, Yorkshire Squares. Because what they do at Sam Smith's, they rouse it as well. So you get that wort and it's roused through. You'll see on the pictures, you can see the wort coming out into the tank again, and that's rousing it. And it's just, like I say, the whole point originally was to just keep that beer clean, and with that extra aeration it also ferments. It gives it a good fermentation and you get a good attenuation from that as well. So it's really interesting. It's really good. It's a British tradition. Hopefully Sam Smith's beers are brewed forevermore to keep on that Yorkshire Stone system, and these two beers are great examples. If you can get hold of them, go and get them, or if you can go to a pub and get their bitter on the cask through the hand pull. The rest is on draft. I'm sure about that. I'm sure if someone will comment about that, but I'm pretty certain it's the only one they do on cask. But them beers are fantastic. Organic pale ale, lovely bottle art on there. And again, the Oatmeal Stout, fantastic beers from Sam Smith's using that old fermentation system. So there we go. So hopefully I'll be back at some point with another traditional British fermentation system example with a beer, because that's what I want to do. If I can get a beer that's brewed the traditional way and I can talk about it, that's what I want to do. But I just want to shout about the heritage of our British brewing. Okay, thanks for watching, and get me stout. Lovely stout. Cheers, and I'll see you on another one.
So if you like, then stick around. Cheers to the nights we banished all our fears. Mr. B will raise the bar, you bet. With every pint of ale we won't forget.